guys, welcome back to another episode of Stitches and Stories. Tonight we are going to be cutting tassels while we talk about our book, because I am working on a commissioned blanket and I am almost done, and I have to go hand tassel 1,000 tassels, which is a lot of tassels, so I've got to cut them all. So we will be cutting tassels while we chat. And tonight's book is A Resistance of Witches by Morgan Ryan. If you're new here, my name is Ashes, and I review books, do get ready with me's, and real talk times. Basically, I just try to keep it real and live my life and hope that something I say resonates and connects with one of you guys. And I firmly believe that life's too short to read books that you're not interested in, so I review books so that you have a better idea of what you're getting into. I also do knitting, all right? For those of you who are wondering, I am not measuring these, I'm eyeballing them. I've decided I am going to cut them all evenly once I've done hand tasseling all 1,000 of them, all right? And I'm cutting more. I'm just gonna cut. I may have more than 1,000, I might have less than 1,000. I'm just gonna cut. And so, because I need a lot. And I'm probably gonna do, for the tassels, I'm thinking of mixing 2 colors on each one, because I want to do it primarily white, but then I want to mix in the blue and gray and green throughout it. And so I think I'm going to do one white tassel with one of the other colors on every single tassel is what I'm going to do. Because the person who ordered it asked for Seahawk colors. So our book tonight is A Resistance of Witches by Morgan Ryan. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this is a 5-star solid read for me, guys. Like, I couldn't put it down. So before we get into this, the genre is historical fantasy. You could also call it historical fiction. See, this is a underused genre. It's becoming more popular nowadays, but it used to be very hard to find. So, 16-year-old me stumbled upon a book in a library where this girl fell through a time loop kind of thing into the past. She fell in love with this guy, and it turns out she had like this form of magic where she could manipulate time. I never got to finish that series. I don't remember what it is, but our library only had 1 book of it. And ever since that day, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my genre. This is the genre I like. But it was impossible to find it. And then, decades down the line, I discovered the book, The Lost Apothecary. And I was like, yes. So when this book showed up on my feed, I was like, I have to read it. I mean, this is witchcraft during Nazi Germany and Nazi France. This takes place in England, America, France, Germany. It's kind of all over. They do a lot of traveling in here via transportation and via magic, all right? So it is London based primarily during Hitler and Churchill's time. I loved Kitty, and I will tell you right away, I was very sad because I got attached to her very quickly, and things went south for her very quickly. She was a Scottish witch, and I cried, I'll tell you that. Massive historical fiction vibes because it takes place during the war. It discusses a lot of stuff that we already know of that went on during the war, but at the same time, you're not getting like an in-depth look into the historical events, because all the events that take place in this book did not take place in real life. There are mentions of events happening that we know of that happened, okay? But our characters that we are dealing with are not there during them. They hear about them, if that makes sense, okay? This isn't really a spoiler, but I guess it kind of is. My favorite character died within the first 3 chapters. It was sadness. But then I developed an attachment to another character, so I really like the guy in here. I gotta remember his name. I want to call him Henry, but I don't think that's it. It is Henry. Yeah, it is Henry. So I really developed a connection to him and liked him a lot. He is from America and Haitian descent. He grew up in like New Orleans and has the background of Haitian, is it voodoo guys or hoodoo? I'm not sure which one it is, but his background is that. And he can see and hear spirits, all right? But they don't recognize him as a witch because they don't see males as being able to be witches. He's more of a psychic anyway, or a medium, if you want to look at it. But they recognize that he is from a descendant of a witch. They know that he is from a line of witches. And so they are shocked to run across him. One of my favorite lines is, "I'm not really, no one is ever really ready to lead." It deals a lot with helping those who are not kind, because at the end of the day, we are all human and we deserve better. So they go with this thing where they're witches and they've never interfered with human wars before. But Hitler is threatening all the world, which is threatening them as well. And they're debating if they need to be involved in this war, all right? And a lot of the witches are like, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to get involved because the regular humans absolutely hate us. And it's just going to lead us down a line where we're going to be discovered and there's going to be this massive witch hunt again and we're all going to be killed. But some of the witches are like, they are still human. We are still human. And it doesn't matter what people have done to us in the past. If we don't interfere, hundreds of thousands of innocents are going to die because of Hitler's actions. And so we need to interfere. It is our right and our privilege and our duty to protect the innocent and those who cannot help themselves. And it deals a lot with that concept and prejudice and racism and even sexism. I honestly think that this is a good book for our world to read today. It deals with some really deep themes, and we always have these problems in life, right? Like, you always get that question. Have you heard the question, if you could go back in time and meet Hitler when he was a baby, would you take him out then? Could you take him out then? And like, I've thought about it. I couldn't, because he's still technically innocent. He hadn't done anything yet. Even knowing what he could do, what he will do in the future, doesn't denote from the innocence at the time of his birth. You know what I mean? And so it deals with that too, and the whole they are innocent until they act kind of thing. This was probably my all-time favorite line in this entire book. It says, show me a world that does not have a powerful woman, and I'll show you a world without men. I read that wrong. Show me a world that does not hate a powerful woman, and I'll show you a world without men. All right, that was one of my favorites. And then another one is, there are Nazis everywhere. They just go by different names. Yeah, 100%, guys. Did you watch, if you're not over 18, you should not have watched this, but have you watched The Boys? There's a character in there that is Nazi, and she goes, people love what I have to say. They just hate the word Nazi. And she causes this rift, and they have to decide, her own team, if she's on their side or not. There's no real good guys in that show, all right? There is no real good guys. But they have to decide if they're going to back her, even knowing that she follows the Nazi rules. Because a lot of people in the world were buying behind what she was saying. But when it came out that she was a Nazi, they're like, oh my God, right? And so the idea of what a Nazi is become like a symbol for racism and prejudice and bigotry throughout the world. And it doesn't matter if you go by the Nazi name or something else, the KKK, anything like that. It's all the same type of aggression and anti-human behavior. And so this book deals a lot with figuring out who that is and realizing that there are always going to be bad guys everywhere. And it's our job to stand up for those who are being treated unfairly by the bad guys, because we want them to, we're all on the same side. And if we don't stand up for them, when it's our turn to be persecuted, who's going to stand up for us, kind of thing. All right. We are all part of the same species. There is no race in the human race. It's just one species, and we should be standing up for each other. Hate does not cure hate is one of the main themes. Having empathy for those who hate us is a main theme. There are odd jumps in the story that made it minorly hard to follow, but that could only be because I listened to it in audiobook. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have the ebook on it, and maybe there is an indication of the time jump, but in the audiobook there wasn't. Henry and Lydia both lost mentors in here, and so we get to see the grief process from that. There's an evil item involved, a mystical, spiritual, blood magic type book that it's almost like a demonic entity is possessing this book, all right? And whoever touches this book, whoever holds this book, literally holds this book, becomes like obsessed with it and the want for more power. And this book is always whispering to them about how it can fulfill its wishes, that its owner's wishes in life. But every time it does a spell, fulfills a wish, it takes part of the master's life from them, their life force. And so from a religious standpoint, to me that kind of symbolized how Satan and evil in general can whisper to us like our greed and stuff, and can get us where we want to continue this. But as you give in to those temptations, give in to your lust for the world, you lose part of yourself, lose part of your humanity in a sense. As a non-religious standpoint, as a literary critic standpoint, it symbolizes too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Yes, you have this weapon. You can use it. Will it help? It will help, but there's a big cost kind of thing. And making those sacrifices, it symbolizes having to make a sacrifice of something you love in order to accomplish something else, and how you might think you want something, but it turns out to be hurting you. Henry's American from New Orleans in here with a Haitian background. Lydia is English. Rebecca is French. So we have a lot of different backgrounds. I've said it before and I'll say it again. My favorite stories that take place during the World Wars take place in France. I love it. And my reasoning for this is really simple. So if you read a World War story that is written from an American perspective, the Americans are overly done as heroes. All right, it's almost like we see ourselves as the saviors of this war. We got almost like a god complex. And we only got involved in the war because Japan bombed us. But they're all written like America has come in and they're going to fix the mess. All right, if you read it from Germany's perspective, it's usually very much like an occupied state. There's like this massive fear going on. It focuses a lot on religious persecution. If you read it from the French standpoint, I honestly, and this is my opinion, I think the French are the most non-biased narrative to read about the World Wars. All right, I haven't read any from Japan. I'll be honest. Okay, there are 2 world wars. All right, World War I, World War II. All right, it doesn't matter which world war we're talking about. All these narratives tend to apply to that. All right, I haven't read any from Japan's point of view. I'm assuming that they would be more like the opposite of. Honestly, I think that they'd actually probably be like the American narrative in a way that they would be pushing like, we are the good guys, we are in the right. Meanwhile, the German narratives don't say that they're in the right, and I think that's because there was a divide, right? The people versus the government there. But the French are very neutral in their narrative, and so I love a great story that is about the World Wars, and it takes place in German-occupied France. It's one of my favorites because you get to see the fear, you get to see the anxiety, but you also get to see the heroism of everyday citizens. And how they talk about the Americans a lot is like, we hope they come in and help. However, we don't actually know if they're going to help or if this is going to make it worse, because France was just kind of thrown in the middle of all this, all right? And so I really like that. I think the French views and narratives represent the common people the most. And so this story was told by an American, an English woman, an American man, an English woman, and a French woman, all right? And it was told by an American minority, which I thought was important, all right? Henry is an African-American citizen. He's from New Orleans. He's part French, part Haitian, okay? Grew up in New Orleans, as I said. Lydia is full English. Rebecca is full French. And Rebecca came from a very poor family. Lydia, on the other hand, came from a single mom home, but she wasn't necessarily poor. Her mom taught her trades and stuff, but she lived in a decent apartment, and she got into an academy. So we almost have the 3-class system here as well. It is gory. The book is a little gory. I wouldn't say it's 18 plus gory, but it is a little gory, but it takes place in a war. So if you're reading a book about a war and you don't expect there to be blood, you're a little naive, all right? It asks you to figure out who are your people. Are your people the people that you were born into or the people that you adopt? Like I said, it does talk about possession a little bit. My last sentence I wrote, I'm bawling. I cried my eyes out at the end of this book. I couldn't put it down. I read this book. This is a huge book, guys. I want to say it was 300-400 pages. I could be wrong. I didn't write it down. I accidentally wrote another book's info on this side and had to scribble it out and didn't write it down. But, I got distracted. What is that? Oh, that explains it. That line right there says I accidentally flipped to another review and I was like, why is this not completely filled out? But part of this is, and then I see at the end it says DNF'd because the plot was annoying. So that makes sense. All right. No way. Eee! We're at the end of our reviews, guys. I gotta start filling out some more reviews. I thought we had more to go. Good thing I'm reading My Sister's a Serial Killer this week. Anyway, so yeah, this is a great book. I highly recommend this. It's not really 18 plus, but it does have graphic and gory scenes because of war. So I would say high school area should read this. Also, all our main characters are adults, okay? And so, one of our characters, I don't want to give it away, one of our characters talks about how they were the last one. It was an accident that they avoided the Gestapo, basically. And they were on their way home and saw their family being taken by the German soldiers, if you didn't know what that was. And they feel this almost survivor's guilt for this. And they don't know what happened to their parents. They do find out later because another character, you can guess. You're smart. You're all smart. Henry sees the ghost of their mother and helps make amends. Everyone in here is dealing with some kind of personal issues at the same time of dealing with this world war issue. And that's a very good representation of life in general because, like, right now in the world, there's so much going on. I can't imagine what is still going on over in Palestine. All right. And even though the world itself is going through big issues, even though here in America, we're all like, release the Epstein files. We're all like, our president is a moron or something. Some people are, some people aren't, okay? Even though we have all these things that we are worried about, and China has things that they are worried about, and Japan has things that they're worried about, and our government itself has its own worries, which are affecting our entire worldview, each of us individually also have our own problems. And sometimes those own problems get in the way of us stepping up and helping on a bigger level. And so this talks about having to balance that, having to balance your personal life with your patriotism. And when is it okay to put aside your personal life for your patriotism? When is it okay to put aside your patriotism for your personal life? That kind of thing. And I really think it's good. I know some people won't pick it up because it is fantasy based. It's only fantasy in the way of how the witchcraft is used. All right. I believe that witches are real. Some people don't. All right. I believe that witches are real. I don't believe that they are innately evil. Like some of my Christian friends that I am Christian, guys. I feel like I have to say that all the time because half the stuff I say sounds very much against some of the teachings, but it's not really, not if you read the Bible, all right? The Bible says witchcraft is real. The Bible has a person who talks to the dead in it. The Bible also has a dragon in it, and people raised from the dead, and water turned into wine. So magic is real, even if you call it a miracle. Hot take there. I'm going to get unfollowed everywhere by a lot of people. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I know that there are people who won't pick this up just because it has witches in it, and it is fantasy based. It is fantasy based in the way that real witches don't do this stuff. All right, now real witches, I'm assuming there's covens that exist, but they don't have like, it's not like a Harry Potter thing where they have an academy like in here. All right, they also don't have secret relics, I would think, hidden about. However, I can't say that a possessed book can't be real because we have possessed dolls, all right? And I can't say possession isn't real because if I believe in God, right, which I do, I believe in Yahweh, then I have to believe in angels. And if I have to believe in angels, then I have to believe in demons because demons fell. They're angels that fell, right? And so then if I believe in demons, I have to believe in possession. And the Bible has stories of possession. And if demons can possess humans and demons can possess pigs, then what is stopping a demon or a spirit to possess inanimate objects? And so I think part of the way it's handled is very fantastical, all right? Because there is like, or almost in a barbaric sense of the thought of witchcraft. There's some talks of human sacrifice in here. There's not any shown really. And there's possessed artifacts, but it's the way that the witches fight is very Hogwarts-ish. Yeah, it's not like your cauldrons, brews, salves. There's one character who does that kind of witchcraft in here, and she says that that's true witchcraft and the others is fancy stuff, is what she calls it. But it's almost too fancy, which makes it fantastical in a way. But still has the historical component. So if you can get past that, I really think anyone who loves history books would like this book, as long as you're okay that there are things that happen in here that are not real, but it is based on a real time period in history, that the entire globe was a part of. Like, this is a book that can literally touch every person because it deals with a subject matter that we were all involved in, all right? And even Africa, that didn't have a huge part in the world wars. One of our main characters has roots there, all right? And so we get to hear about their side of this and how they were occupied by Britain and stuff for a while. And so we get more history than just the world wars. So I do highly recommend this book. This book was a solid 5 stars with me all across the board. 5 in enjoyment, 5 in studying, 5 in readability, 5 in plot, 5 in characters, 5 in writing, just because I could not put this down. I literally listened to this book. It was like a 10 to 15 hour book, I think. I borrowed it from our library on Libby, and I couldn't stop. I stayed up all night to listen to this because I was hooked. And I love books like this. And if any of you know any more historical fantasy stories, throw them my way, because I love that romantasy has taken off. But I would love even more if we had more historical fantasy and if that took off, because that's my jam, guys. That's what I love. This is my like ultimate genre right here. And so I'm hoping to see more of it. So I'm marking Resistance of Witches as done. And I need to do a few more book reviews because I didn't realize that I hadn't filled out more. I really thought we had more done. So, real quick, I guess, I read a book called Covered in You. And we'll just do it on here because I don't do full videos usually for DNFs. This book was gifted to me. I had wanted to read it for a very long time. And so it was on my book wish list and in a book exchange post where we did like book fairy gifting. Someone gifted it to me and I was excited to read it. It's a 2.5 and that's generous. It's a 2.5 because it should have been a 3 And I did mark it as a 3 on Goodreads because I'm not mean. And if I DNF a book, I mark it as a 3. But I wrote, ew, formatting, give me tabs. There was no indents. None. Lots of strained family relationships. So much drunk driving. So much drunk PTSD. So many car accidents. So many deaths. Something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I did not look it up, but one of our main characters has it. Teenage pregnancy, miscarriages. It was marketed as a book for Swifties. I used to be a Swiftie, not so much anymore. But when Taylor Swift's first album came out, I was one of the girls. I was a teenager at the time, and I was so excited to get it. This book did not hit as a Taylor Swift album would have for me. It did not. So many car accidents again. One toxic, unhappy family all the way around. I wrote, reading this is like watching a train wreck. It's supposed to be a second chance romance, but it feels like it was written by an angsty teen. 18 plus language. DNF'd because the plot was annoying AF. Disaster after disaster. So, yeah. Don't recommend picking up the Swiftie book called Covered in You. And so, I will get some more reviews done. I read some, I just didn't write it down. I have them on my phone, okay? And so here's the thing. I wrote all the notes in my phone and forgot to transfer them to the book. So I know I have like The Truth According to Ember on my phone and things like that. And so I just gotta move them over. So thank you guys for being with me tonight. And I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving season and that you're all getting ready for the holiday season. As you can tell, I am. And so, yeah, I got my Christmas shopping done early. And I'm gonna go tassel a blanket because we cut some. But not all of them. See? There's no way that's 1,000. And if I'm doing 2 on each, I need 2,000. Yay, me! Now, no, seriously, it's the cutest blanket I've ever made. I'm actually kind of jealous that I have to send this to Amber. Like, it's adorable. I might have to follow the exact same pattern, but in different colors for me. It's so great. So, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. And comment below if you know any more historical fantasy books, because I'd really, 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 really like to read more. Thank you guys. Bye.